Mr. Satan is not his name. Y'all know that? Mr. Satan is his title. Yes. Because he's the best fighter in the Satan dojo. So he is Mr. Satan. Akira Toriyama was asked quite a few years ago, what is Mr. Satan's name? And all he had to say was, Mark.
Well, then I have a treat for you. I have 4 fabulous voice actors from Dragon Ball Z. And come on up to the stage. Give them a big round of applause.
Don't be shy. Come on stage with me.
Those stairs.
Hi, everyone.
You guys enjoying the con so far?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been good. This is my second time at this con. How about y'all? Have you guys been to this show before?
My first.
Okay. Linda?
First.
What about you, Chris? Have you been to this show before?
I have not.
Okay.
I've been to Philadelphia.
All right, Thy Geekdom Con Virgins, awesome. Right. But you have an expert to,
So I don't know if we can go backwards like that.
Only when it comes to cons, not other things.
Okay.
So what I'd like you to do is go down the line, just tell them who you are, the character that you play, though you probably do additional voices from time to time. And then your favorite or one of your favorite lines from Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, God. Oh, why did I sit here? I'm first. Oh, no. Hey, Rager.
Do you want to start on the other end?
We can start down here.
Yeah, do it.
Chris isn't
Me
shy.
and Linda are the vets back here. So my name is Chris Rager. I play Mr. Satan in Dragon Ball Z, along with King Yemma, Android 14, Gaz, who lives in the underworld. I play a lot of them. Not like Sabbath numbers or anything, but and then one of my, well, not my favorite line, but the line I really attribute to Mr. Satan the most often is well, I'm sick and tired of all these light shows and tricks. If you want to fight the champ, you gotta fight me, chump. Oh yeah. That's right. $5 from everyone.
Oh my God, you sound just like him.
He is him. I'm Linda Young, and in Dragon Ball, Frieza, Baba, Fasha, Arali, and Mr. Satan's secretary.
Right.
You have a phone call, Mr. Satan. But
I can't be bothered right now.
you never can be bothered.
Take a number.
Okay.
Get more pudding.
Yes. See what I have to deal with? But Frieza, I can tell you favorite lines that you guys have, and it'll be a monkey line. You stupid Saiyan monkey!
Right on. Yeah.
Thank you.
My name is John Burgmeier, and now I am terrified beyond the capacity for words. Sitting next to Frieza. I in the Dragon Ball franchise play Tien, Shinhan. I've also done other little bits here and there. King Kai's cricket friend Gregory, Mr. Satan's entourage member Karoni. Couple of as Karoni. Beautiful flying rose attack. Yep. And then a few other parts along the way, but Tien Shinhan is the most well known. And hey, don't worry about me, Chaozu. Try beam! Ha!
Hi, I'm Alexis. I voice Kid Trunks and half of Gotenks. That's me and Goten talking at the same time. And then I also voice King Kai of the West. It's like the only female King Kai. And then I'm also Erasa, and then a bunch of other various sundry, probably crowd members at tournaments, because, you know, there's a lot of them. A lot of people at the tournaments and a lot of tournaments. And oh my gosh, I love, one of my favorite Kid Trunks lines is from Super, where they're trying to get a gift for Videl, and they keep getting, he and Goten keep getting confused with what they're trying to find, and so they're like, yeah, we're gonna get her some healing waters for her broke down old lady butt.
Hey, that's my daughter you're talking about.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Now, I know there is no better way to show your love for these voice actors than by asking questions. And they are open to questions, not just about Dragon Ball Z, anything that they've worked on. So feel free to ask those questions. Before they start asking questions, though, I would like to know, what was your reaction? Now, when you started voice acting, was it dubbing right away, or was it other type of voice acting first?
My very first part in any kind of voice acting of any kind was Dragon Ball Z.
Same.
And I didn't realize that I was starting off on probably what ultimately became one of the most popular shows out there. But I now think that's really cool. Back then I was just wanting to make some money, and I got to go to do this cool voice and this character and have fun and make comedy, because that's what I was doing. I was making comedy. So to be doing more comedy and being paid for it actually was way cooler than not being paid for it.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
With me, I did other voice acting. I did a lot of commercials on camera, children's books, children's shows like for radio. So I did a lot of voice acting, but never anime. And my first part in anime was Frieza. And I had no idea either that it was going to be so big, or that it was going to blow up.
I started.
Oh, and John is my son.
Oh, true story. I started working for.
And I'm his stepdad. Boom!
Oh, Mr. C!
That may or may not be a true story. We're still awaiting the results. I first started with Funimation via other avenues. I was an audio engineer and then moved on to other positions within the company. And then I came into voice acting just by proximity. So it was definitely the first voice acting ever I did. I was just reminiscing with Chris a little bit that when he came in and auditioned for Mr. Satan,
Right.
I was actually in the room as a member of the studio production team. And there were a few people that came in those days that auditioned for parts that they had the role before they left the room, whether they knew it or not. And Chris was one of them. He said his first words in the mic, and I know we all looked at each other and was like, yeah, that's
Old
kinda-
Barry
that's-
Watson called me up and said, "Hey, Chris, we're going to give you that part of Mr. Satan. You're going to be Mr. Satan, okay?" I'm like, all right, cool, very cool.
Or Hercule for the Y7 crowd, right?
That's right, Hercule.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't know they were changing his name until I got there.
It was
And anytime
confusing.
Mr. Satan was said, we had to record it both ways.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
Right? But now, we don't say Hercule anymore.
No.
We don't.
It's over.
Yeah.
Brush that under the rug.
Well, that was Y7 television back in the day. You couldn't say anything about Satan or God or the devil. You couldn't shoot anybody. There was no blood. All these rules under Y7 television, obviously for kids, you don't want to be saying those things. So,
Well, yeah, we
Hercule.
couldn't say kill. We couldn't say die. We couldn't say butt.
Right?
We couldn't
No.
say the censors on that was crazy.
Although, Mr. Satan is not his name. Y'all know that? Mr. Satan is his title
Yes.
because he's the best fighter in the Satan dojo. So he is Mr. Satan. Akira Toriyama was asked quite a few years ago, what is Mr. Satan's name? And all he had to say was, Mark. But if you say Mark in Japanese, it's Maku, which is M-A-A-K-U, which is a little anagram. Switch those letters around, you get Akuma, which means demon or devil.
Oh.
So Mr. Satan, his daughter Videl, or if you switch those letters around, you get devil.
Oh my goodness, you do.
Right, you have his best friend, Majin Buu, which means demon Buu. So that's our theme. Like Vegeta and them, they get vegetables. Bulma and them, they get underwear. We got Western religion. Right?
Some fun trivia. Yeah, my very first voice acting gig was actually, I guess, technically what's called prelay. So I wasn't adhering to any kind of, I wasn't dubbing. So it was, I recorded and I was the voice of a tutorial in a video game. So there was no timing restrictions. It was like an MMORPG, kind of like a combat type game, kind of like StarCraft-ish. So that was my first gig, and then I started working for Funimation and doing anime shortly after. So, yeah.
Very nice. John, you were an audio engineer and all that. Did that affect how you approached your voice acting?
I mean, 100%. I mean, I am not an actor by formal training. So in those early days, I was 100% learning on the job. I was doing audio engineering, and then after hours, I graduated with a degree in like English with an emphasis on like writing. And so my boss knew that, and so he was like, yeah, John, why don't you try, you got an English major, right? Why don't you try punching up these scripts a little bit? So after hours, I'd be all day working with the voice actors in the studio, listening to them, and then at night, I would be punching up the scripts, and as you're working on the scripts, you have to make the lines, of course, match the pre-existing animation, so I would have to test out the lines. So I'm like, okay, I kind of know how Chris is going to read this. I kind of know how Sonny's going to read this. So I would like have to pretend to be them, testing out. So I was like training myself to like all of a sudden like do this weird dubbing voice acting thing. So when I was finally like, hey, John, why don't you jump in the booth and grab a line or two? It was like, oh, I actually can kind of do this. I have worked all of my, well, maybe like the last couple of weeks for this. I am ready.
You have been trained well, my friend.
Yes.
So for Linda and Alexis, you had to go from animation that was not as restricted as dubbing. What was the adjustment to having to, you know, match the flaps? What was that adjustment like?
Well, when I first started, they actually didn't record really fast. I mean, so, but it was paper scripts, so you had to look down and then look up and try to match the flaps. So it was kind of hard because you sort of had to memorize your lines, and Frieza had really long lines. But after a while, you get used to the rhythm, right? There's a rhythm to dubbing. And once you get that rhythm, you don't have to look up as much. And plus the directors, they say, you know, can you do this line just a little, this word even a little longer? Or so it wasn't that hard to get used to, really. And those beeps, the beeps that they start with, that, I guess that might have been a little weird, but it was musical. So you just come in on the fourth beep. It would be like, doo, 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 and you start. So once you get used to that, I don't know, it was kind of an easy transition.
Yeah.
Back in those days, man, that was on when it was on tape.
Yeah.
It was a beta machine, talking
Yes.
to Pro Tools. They did not get along, by the way.
No.
Pro Tools and that beta machine did not like each other. So we got to take a lot of breaks, which was good
Yes.
if you were getting paid by the hour.
And remember when it would freeze up and we'd have to start all over?
Right, yeah, well, start up, do it again. Like, yes.
See, I was lucky. I started this after the age of digital, so I didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I'm so jealous though because I mean, I'm not jealous of like that slow process, but what I am jealous of is like the paper script situation because I heard that people would like leave each other like handwritten notes on the
Yes.
script,
Yeah.
and then at like the end of a show, like people would, you know, someone would get to take that home or get a piece of
Yes.
paper, and I'm like, oh man, what a treasure! That would have been so much fun to like
And,
have something like that.
Sonny Strait, voice of Krillin, of course, is by his main training.
Yes.
He's an amazing like comic book artist. And so it was always the best to come in and do your session after Sonny had been in because
did he?
he would do these amazing like just cartoon panels like all over the scripts while
Yeah.
he's
I
while he's
love
recording.
that. But yeah, like what Linda was saying, it's very musical, and I know that like you know, sometimes we get questions about, you know, how to become a voice actor. People will be like, oh, what are some things that are like some advice you can give us that's not maybe something you say all the time? And one of them is like study music, like because
Yes.
there is like an intrinsic rhythm to this kind of thing. And if you, you know, a lot of people who do this are musicians of some kind, whether they're singers or they play instruments or both, or they write music. And it does, yeah, it was one of those things where like I came from a musical background, and I don't know, it kind of scratched a part of my brain. So I felt like I someone had to explain to me what to do, and then when they explained it, I was like, okay, I think I got this. And it helps that we preview it first. So like when you watch it in Japanese, you can kind of mouth the line along with it and kind of figure out how much time you have. And you don't always get it right on the first try, but it's it's a minor adjustment. Like, hey, maybe say this a little slower, say this a little faster. Oh, this is overwritten. We need to take out some words. And so sometimes there's a little workshopping that happens rapidly, and then you just come in and do it again. And yeah, I think it's more intuitive than a lot of people think it is. So I don't know. I didn't really notice a huge
I feel like it was
overwhelming
early.
adjustment.
We didn't even have the Japanese for a while there,
No,
right?
we didn't. We couldn't look at anything.
Oh, wow.
We weren't previewing anything.
No, I don't think we did.
realize that.
Go.
Oh, well, I'm really spoiled then.
Well, that's awesome. Does karaoke count for music? I'm just curious.
Yes, of course it does.
Absolutely, yeah.
So please, guys, if you have questions, please raise your hand. I'll come around like Donahue if you know who Donahue is and you're old like me. Okay.
Hello, my name is Amelia, and I just have to say, Linda, you're my idol. And who is your favorite character out of like all the characters in the series? And you can't say your character.
And I can't say what?
Your character.
Your character.
My favorite character in all the series of Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah, that's not you.
Tien.
Come on, I didn't treat you well as my secretary.
Mr. Satan, you're kind of funny, but I have to go with Tien.
All right.
Why don't we have everyone answer that question? Your favorite character in the series who's not played by you?
I mean,
Definitely.
I'm gonna have to say it's a tie between Frieza and like just from a story standpoint. No joke because he's sitting here, but Mr. Satan has like almost from the beginning been my favorite character.
That's right.
You know,
yes, like you.
Akira Toriyama was also quoted as saying Mr. Satan was his favorite character.
I learned that later as well. I was like,
Right.
well, I guess he has good
And then,
taste. 'Cause that's-
if you ask Chris Sabat, y'all might have heard of him. His favorite character too is Mr. Satan. I'm gonna throw that out there.
Yeah.
So if y'all just want to come by and give me love just because I'm so loved, I would love that.
I'm not the original voice of Kid Trunks, so I actually grew up watching Dragon Ball, and so getting to voice Kid Trunks was sort of my childhood coming full circle. And when I first started watching Dragon Ball, it was on like the OG Toonami, and my older brother, was really into it, and he was like, "Lex, like watch the show with me," and I was like, "No, that show's for boys." I was an uncultured swine, and seriously. But then around that time, the Cell Saga was airing on Toonami, and Eric, my brother, was like, "No, but like there's some really cool girl characters in this show too," and one of them was Android 18,
Oh, yeah.
and I thought Android 18 was so cool.
They were.
Yes.
They are.
Yes, and like I don't know, and I loved the whole Cell Saga. I mean, it was like my intro into the
Yes.
show. So Cell Saga has always been really special to me. But yeah, I always thought the whole like the androids were really cool, and then the fact that spoiler, Android 18 turns good later on, was cool too. So we got more of her, and
You know, when Meredith booked that part, she was 18.
Was she?
She was.
Oh my gosh.
Just let you know.
Oh my gosh.
Cell Saga, I think, just from beginning to end, like from the first appearance of like Future Trunks through the finale where Gohan defeats Cell. Sorry, spoilers.
So good.
Sorry.
Spoiler.
That, in my opinion, is
Guys, it's
just
been like 30 years.
that's
Watch the show.
that's peak Dragon Ball Z right there.
Yes.
I mean, that's just amazing story
Well, and back
construction
then,
and storytelling. It's just
I'd never
it's-
seen anything like that before. It was so impactful. I was like, wow, this is what cartoons can be. And it was so incredible.
Well, thank you. More questions? We got one over here.
As you continued voicing your characters, did your approach to voicing them change in any way? Like the way you voice acted them, if that makes any sense?
What exactly are you asking?
I'm asking, like, did your approach to how you voiced your characters change in any way? Did you change?
Over the years, you mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure. Like, the great thing about that is, well, we got, they redid it with Kai. So we got to kind of like do it again, although a shorter version, more manga-fied version. And so, in my opinion, I love Dragon Ball, the first version, but when I look at Kai, I'm like, man, this we actually did a better job. Like the script writing is more accurate, you know what I mean? Because there were some lines in there. Back in the day, man, we were pulling from the Spanish dub.
Wow.
Right?
Oh, I mean, not only that, I mean, we were working from translations that were like not complete in any way.
Right.
And then on top of that, the goal of Barry and the rest of the people in charge of the company was to get the show on television. And so everything was like, let's do everything we can to get it on television. And part of that was, let's get like an updated music track in there. And part of that was, anytime there was just like an extended silence, our boss was like, we need to fill that with something. So we were just purely inventing lines from whole cloth. I mean, there's stuff in that original dub that has no basis in any other version whatsoever.
I mean, that's why Krillin has lines like "Mondo Cool."
Yeah.
that was not in the original script in any way.
It's cool though.
Well, like, over there, I mean, we just got better at it for Kai. So as the years passed, we just kind of improved. The edges were, rubbed off. We'd, gotten better, I think. And
Yeah, for me, it was definitely building vocal stamina. Because Trunks is in such a particular raspy, uncomfortable part of the voice. And it used to be that he was the only character I was like, 2 hours and like I'm dead. Like, please do not book me for more than 2 hours at a time. And around the hour 30-minute mark, I was finding excuses to leave the booth. Like, oh, I need some more tea, I need some more water. And I was always so tired, and I'd have to like clear my schedule of any other voice acting because I just come away from that just feeling raw. And then over the years, because it's been, I don't know, 7 or 8 years now. I've built up that stamina, and he doesn't destroy my vocal cords like he used to. Okay. So, and who knows, maybe that means I have vocal nodes now, I don't know. But whatever it is, it's easier. I've gotten into a flow with it, and so I can, it's not as much of a concern anymore, which is nice.
I definitely, like in the early days, like I said, I basically learned how to do it on the job. And I was stepping in to take over the role of Tien from another actor who had done it briefly and then moved away. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm trying to sound kind of like this guy, and I'm trying to do this, and I'm trying to learn my way about how to do this. And I was very self-conscious about my performances and everything. I'm like, okay, try to sound like you belong here, man. And like really self-critical. And it took me a lot of years to finally be like, it's been, a decade. And they're still calling me for Tien. I guess I'm Tien.
Right?
And so then I finally just kind of relaxed, and so now I think my performances are a little more loose and just, it's a lot more fun to do now.
Well, I remember, because for those of you who don't know, Josh Martin plays Majin Buu, and in real life is my best friend. So when he first booked Majin Buu, it was based off of a character we did in our comedy show. We had taken the Pillsbury Doughboy and we made him a gangster rapper. And his name was Pillsbury Homeboy, right? It was simple enough. And Josh did a great Pillsbury Doughboy impression, and he would rap these songs that he had written based on like Snoop Dogg songs and stuff like that. And they were very funny. Like, what's my mother bacon name?
I remember we went to see one of your guys' comedy shows. I said there are people who came into audition in those days that had the part before they left the room. Josh Martin and Majin Buu had the part before he walked into the room. We had gone to see that show, and
Sabat went up to him after that show and was like, hey, why don't you come in I got this big fat pink guy. And we kind of need a voice for him. So Josh went in, and Boo doesn't say anything at the beginning, so it's like, and they called him back again. They called him back, like the third time. He's like, man, I don't really know if they keep calling me back in and all this stuff. I'm like, I'm like, he's like, I really hope I got the part. And I'm like, dude, it's your third session, man. You got the part. You don't know. He's like, oh, you think? I'm like, yeah, bro. Anyway.
Excellent. We have a question right here.
Hi, my name's Dylan. Could you tell us anything about Super 2?
Man, I wish we could.
They don't tell us anything.
I want to know.
Half the time we find out stuff because y'all tag us in it online, so they don't tell us anything.
Fans often know before we do. That's
Seriously.
That's true.
And if they were to say anything, there's these little red dots that'll appear on them. Yeah.
There are satellite lasers targeting us at all times.
They actually
to make
microchip
sure.
us when we become voice actors, and if we like break NDA, we'll just like pass out. No, I'm kidding.
It's like Suicide Squad.
I have a microchip in my neck and my head will explode.
Not really.
All right, we have a question here.
Hi, my name's Michelle, and I was talking with a couple of you guys at the table, and I mentioned I'd met Peter and Brian like a month ago down at Anime Ocean City.
I love
And
those guys.
one of the things I asked them is, now that like my generation has had kids and they're watching the shows and things like that, when did you realize how important the fandom is and how the different types of media have changed spreading the fandom? Because when I was a kid, like we'd have to get like the bootleg VHS and DVDs, and like you had to wait for the Toonami, and you know the internet was still just starting out, so spoilers weren't quite a thing, but there were all sorts of rumors for like the different shows and whatnot. So yeah, like when did you realize how important the media was and how important the fandoms were?
Well, like I knew the show was going on Toonami and then CW after school and stuff. So I thought, well, that's pretty cool. My voice is going to be on TV. That's fun. But I think my first real understanding of maybe this is going to be something is Score Entertainment had made the card game and the collector card series. And they called us in. This is like my first time I ever signed anything ever.
Yeah.
And they paid us money to sign these cards. I'm like, really? You're going to give me money to sign my... That's cool. And that's never happened before. So I thought, might be something in this show. That's very cool. And then, over the years, there's more and more and more of that.
Yeah.
And here we are. So
The same as Chris, I remember, Cartoon Network and all that, and it was kind of neat, you could turn it on and watch it, and same with Yu Yu Hakusho, we could watch that. And then I remember Burger King had child's meals with Dragon Ball Z toys.
That was a big deal.
And I thought it was so cool to be a toy in a kid's meal.
because it is cool.
And for some reason,
cool. It
it was cool. And for some reason, and I still don't know why, but I would be like out walking my dog or whatever, and little boys for some reason would start talking to me about Dragon Ball Z. And I thought, that's so strange. But then I'd tell them I voice Frieza, and they'd like, what? So I'd talk like Frieza. They didn't quite get it. They were like, you are Frieza? And I'm not Frieza, but I
play one on TV.
Because believe me, as a kid, I just thought cartoons could talk.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what they thought. And I thought, that's pretty cool, but I didn't really realize it till people started telling me. There are so many fans of these shows, and you need to start going to some of these Comic-Cons and participate and meet them. And that's when I really realized, and it's always so nice to meet all of you. It really is. And I call you guys my fanameli. But I really like hearing your stories and hearing about you and how you got to get into anime. And it's really a blessing for us all to be where we are. And we know that you're a big part of where we are, right? So thanks.
Well, then there was the Dragon Ball Z Hummer tour.
Yes,
Of course.
yes.
Yes.
When Sonny did it for a little while.
Sonny,
And then
did a lot of it.
Adam
He
They used to
did.
drive a decaled military Hummer, black Hummer,
Yes.
all around the country, the different setups to promote the card game and stuff. And I remember I was at one event, it was inside a mall, and Damian Clark was there. And I remember Damian, a kid had asked him to do a line. It was something about "I'll kill you" or something like that. And some sort of passing mom, not understanding what was going on,
Oh, no.
complained that this man is yelling at children
Oh,
that
my
he's going
goodness.
to kill them. And it caused a little bit of a kerfuffle, like police showed up.
Yes.
Like, seriously.
Of course.
It was like, oh, no, that's not what was going on. But I remember that being like, whoa.
I think one of the barometers that I noticed was, again, relating to the card game, but it was when the little trading, the packs of the cards began showing up on the counter display on my neighborhood 7-Eleven. I was like, you gotta be pretty far along in your pop culture awareness to get placement on this 7-Eleven counter.
When it's
Like,
at 7-Eleven, you know.
it's everywhere. It's on every
You
corner.
know it's something.
By the time I arrived, I knew it was a big deal.
Yeah, you knew.
All of that had already, and again, I grew up watching
Yeah,
it.
you watched it.
Yeah,
You were a
no,
kid.
listen, I'm late to this party, but very happy to be here.
Excellent. We have another question over here.
All right. Jay, by the way. So with anime, a lot of the voices kind of had the same tone or the same kind of like I met Chuck last time he was here, and he does 17 in Hiei, so they're very similar. So for John, you do Kurama and Tien are very close. Frieza and Genkai are both very close. How do you find that tone in your voice to kind of differentiate between characters, to kind of like find that character's voice, even if they're very similar? You get what I mean?
Well, a lot of that is a combination of the director,
Yes.
like taking you on that emotional journey, and also how the character's written. There might be two characters where, we're using the exact same voice, but this character goes on a vastly different emotional journey than this one over here. So telling a completely different story helps with that, because, maybe this character over here, it's the same voice technically, but maybe they're really happy-go-lucky and very excitable, and it's a comedy show, and everything's very high energy. And then this one, it's technically the same voice, but this character's clinically depressed and goes through a lot of trauma. It's like, so the emotional journey is a lot of that. And also just the director being able to direct you in places. I think a lot of people think we just get in a booth and have to make stuff up on the spot, and that is not the case at all. We have, the animation is already complete. We have a visual we have to adhere to. If the character's crying, we have to sound like we're crying to match that visual. Otherwise it looks and sounds very disjointed. But then also it's, where we can hear the emotional intention of the Japanese performance when we preview. And then we also have a director helping us set the voice, giving us some insight into the character, which can help us make choices. So yeah, it is definitely a collaborative effort between the actor, the script writer, the director, and then of course the original, Japanese materials or whatever the original language is coming to us. So that all paints a very different picture depending on what the project
That's
is.
a great answer.
It is.
Well, thank you.
I always liked, I teach workshops in voice acting and things like that, and I always like to let the sort of newcomers in that world, even people around and fans of yourself, I always like to say, and this is something I heard, this is not mine, I didn't make this up, but we make voices. We don't make voices, we make choices. Right?
Put that
and
on
as
a
the
shirt.
actor,
You know it's true because it rhymes.
right? Because it rhymes, yo.
Where's the bumper sticker?
Right.
I
We
want
make
one.
choices, not voices. And I think that very much to what she was saying. It's about the journey of the character. I mean, I think in my head, Arlong and Mr. Satan sound a lot alike, but they are two completely different people. And who they are and what happens, I think helps differentiate that in
It
my
does,
head.
and their attitude. I mean,
Yeah.
what kind of attitude they have makes a
Right.
big
And what they
difference.
want is different. Their
Yes,
goals are different,
yes.
or there's just so many different things that can factor into a character's journey.
And I also, once I start recording a couple of lines and we find a take that we want on some of those early lines that kind of okay, this feels like the character, it's got the attitude, then that's like becomes my anchor line.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
And so
I
it's
do
like,
the same.
then there's just the muscle memory of where I have my
Yes.
voice set and everything. So then before every take of every line from then on till the end of time,
Yes.
I repeat that line.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I do the same thing. Is it because we're related?
Maybe. Well, and it's so funny. I actually just thought of a great example of this. So I actually directed John in a show called Sunny Boy that came out a few years ago, and he played a pair of twins.
Oh yeah, that one. That was
had
fun.
exact same voice, but very different circumstances. And they're like,
I did not know
well,
that.
I won't spoil it. There's a kind of a twist with them, but it's him playing both. They sound the same, and they have to sound the same because the characters at first are confused. They meet both of them and think it's this independently and think it's the same person, and then they figure out, oh no, it's different. The only difference is they're wearing different clothes, and they have vastly different goals. They're having a war against each other, and so they have different goals. They have different aspirations. They have different attitudes. One of them feels very betrayed by the other. The other one is trying to make peace. So like that's like a great example of same voice, but like an exact same voice, but completely different journey on both characters.
That was one that was during the strange times of
The Panini Panorama
the
pandemic.
pandemic. So that was one that one had kind of that was in that blur of a time where I recorded that like in my bedroom closet, and Alexis was
you from mine, yeah.
was remote, and so we never face to face during those sessions. We did a show together, I guess 2 years ago now. I'm the villainess, so I'm taming the final boss. But as an example of what I was saying before every line that I uttered in that show to get into character, I would say Alexis's character's name, Eileen Lorraine d'Autriche, and now I'm in the voice of Claude. And it's so. Like Jade and the engineer had to hear me say that like 3,000 times.
It was worth it though. You were so good.
Every single line. Like okay, here comes the pre-roll. Breathe. Eileen Lorraine d'Autriche. And line.
So it sounds like you're talking about the acting part of voice acting, because a lot of people think it's just you make a voice, but it's the attitude, it's all that. I have another question right here.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Joey. It's very nice to meet you all. I got to talk to some of you yesterday. It's still kind of breathtaking just to see and hear you guys again, because I'm someone who loves voice work impressions, and I don't know, you can make voices and do stuff, but then when you hear the actual original, there's just something about it that's just like, oh my God, they're right there. And I'm sorry, I just wanted to say that, because as much as I would love to ask voice acting questions and things like that, I just want to keep it still on Dragon Ball and how big of a media it is, to where I'm very curious to where when you guys have to go outside the show and having to do like the dubbing for the games, how much trouble does it go into having to work onto that? Or is there much of a difference dubbing for the game compared to the show? Or if there's any like real difficulties, like I know back in the PS2 days with Cell having one voice actor who did very much the same voice, causing things like Perfect to have his imperfect hit sounds and things like that. I'm just very curious on how video game voice work went over for you guys.
That's it's very different from the dubbing. In terms of the Dragon Ball Z game specifically, when it gets to us, they're still building and polishing the game and all of that sort of stuff. So what we get is generally like just a script, and then oftentimes, but not always, we'll get to hear just audio only, like what the Japanese cast has done. And so then it's like we listen to them read the line, and it's like, okay, now you've got to do your line within this same timing framework so that it fits into the battle sequence or whatever it is. But it's less flat matching and just more just kind of tone matching.
It's kind of easier, I think. Do you think it's easier?
Well, for me, it's a little unique because sometimes Kid Trunks is in the video games, but it's mostly Gotenks, which that's like a totally different recording system. I mean, we have to do it in the anime too, but it's just when you're in a video game and it's like, it's just...
It's not you and Kara in there together.
Well, it is us in there together, and that's why it's like... Yeah, exactly. But so the recording process for all the fusions, not just ours, is one person will go in first, preview the Japanese, lay down their track, and then the second person Whoever, it just is kind of down to scheduling. So sometimes I go in first, sometimes Kara goes in first. And then let's say I go in second, I don't even listen to the Japanese, I just listen to hers, and then I have to match her. And like, we have plugins and stuff that can kind of, account for any discrepancies, but you got to get as close as possible. And especially with a video game, it's like nothing but attacks. So, that's a little different. At least in the anime, it's not fighting the whole time, but then the games, they're usually fighting games. So, but for me, like having, entered into, voice acting for Trunks around the Kai days, what's so cool for me about the video games is that, a lot of times they're rehashing plot from, earlier seasons where I didn't get to voice Trunks. That was the original actress. So then it's cool for me to get to go back and dub some of those scenes that I watched as a kid, but I didn't get to dub. And so it's like, oh, but now they're in the video game and I get to go back and do these really impactful moments. And that's really, really super cool. But yeah, and I think vocal stamina wise, sometimes video games are a little bit more difficult because everything is so heightened because it's a fighting game. So it's just more.
You get a whole page of screens all in a row.
It's like, hey, yeah, you want to. Oh, and then we have things called battle grid, which is basically where it's like, hey, we're just going to go through this, and you're going to hear this, unless it's a fusion, but you'll hear, hup, and then you're just like, okay, do my version. It's like, okay, they need to be 1 second, and this is taking light damage, taking heavy damage, doing an attack, saying your attack lines, and there's hundreds of those because they just input those and they don't want it to sound annoying when the character's playing. And, even if you're button mashing, they don't want the same sound to come out the entire time. So it's just, hundreds of different thousands of different combinations of sounds that can come out. And we have to record all of those individually. So that's something that's very different with video games.
It drives me crazy in the video games because the Japanese don't give us those cutscenes. So we're literally playing off what the Japanese voice actor had done before. And some of those earlier games, if you watch them, that stuff doesn't line up very well, does it? Oh. Do you remember any of those playing those games? It's not super great. And so that bugs me. Being a gamer, I want that to be perfect. Hey, trust us. We're not going to leak your video game, bro. I mean, maybe somebody will. They're super worried about leaking things in Japan. They do not like it. Here in America, a leak is a good thing. It kind of helps push and promote stuff here and there. And in Japan, they're they might, I don't know what they might do, but it's not fun. But,
Great question.
All right. Do we have another question? Ooh, right over here. Awesome. Getting my steps in.
Hi, everybody. Hi. So I love when you did the Dragon Ball Z One Piece crossover episode. I know you got to do part 2, not part 1. But how did it feel doing both worlds mixed together plus Toriko with all your characters? Was it one of those ones where you wish you could have expanded more on it? Or how did you feel about doing 1v3 for everybody?
That was such an interesting phenomenon. It's so rare we get crossovers like that that are actually canon. It's not like a fan-made thing or And so that was super interesting. I didn't voice anyone in Toriko, but I voiced a few characters in One Piece, and I think one of them came back for that crossover, but it was mostly just my Dragon Ball people, and it was really fun. It was okay, we did this, and now we're gonna switch gears and do this character in this same episode, and it's oh my god, this is so wild. And then I thought of people like Ian Sinclair, who voices Brooks in One Piece, who's a very prominent role, and then voices Toriko, and it's oh my god, he's just, and those are very different voices. So I bet that was a trip for some people.
And not to mention Sabbath, of
course. Of course. Oh, yeah, voicing
All right, great. So now I have to play all the characters in 3 shows at once? Great.
God, leave some talent for the rest of us. Jeez.
I like the most recent episode, though, because I won. Right? No spoilers, but Toriko and Goku go off on each other, and Mr. Satan gets caught in the ring, I don't need to be here. I need to get out of here. And they blow up so much stuff that they get called for ring out. They got knocked out of the ring, and Mr. Satan is stuck there in the middle of this blown up arena, this little thing. It's I won.
Doesn't that happen a lot, though?
It
Isn't that the
does.
ongoing joke?
That's why Mr. Satan is so amazing, is because somehow he managed
I like to
to
remind
win.
people, like, Android 16's head did not throw itself, Gohan. You're welcome for Cell. Then I remind people, Goku's spear bomb wasn't going so well for
It
him
wasn't.
against Kid Buu. They needed a little help. They told Vegeta to get out of here. I called upon the people of Earth, and they sent their energy to that spear bomb, and it killed Buu.
Yes, that's 100%
And then I walked
true.
up to Majin Buu and was like, hey, why do you kill people? He's like, I know, Bobby, you told me to. I'm like, you should stop that. And he's like, okay. And then someone shot the dog. You shouldn't have shot the dog, man. Right, and then if you remember, in Battle of the Gods, anyone see that movie? They needed a fifth Saiyan to defeat Beerus. Do you remember who that fifth Saiyan was? It was Pan, my granddaughter. So without me, there's no Videl, there's no Pan, you're all dead.
I mean, the show would
Multiple
be very
times
different.
over.
Right, yeah. So
It'd be
all I have to
interesting
say,
to see what the show
There's,
would be
uh,
like without Hercule.
Satan
Mr. Satan.
is your savior, is what it's really. you like that one?
What you're saying is we
Linda likes that one.
we should all worship Satan. That's what you're saying, yes.
Okay, well, I didn't say that.
No, he didn't say that.
Just that Satan is your savior.
Okay.
Why
You
do I
do
get
it
the
that way, you
feeling-
will.
Why do I get the feeling you've had that locked and loaded, just ready for an
tell that-
opportunity?
I tell that story every convention. So.
All hail Satan. Awesome. So running short on time, anyone else have a question? I have a question. Do you think if you met your characters, they would like you?
Well, I'm a
not sure
girl,
I like
and
him.
yeah, Kid Trunks would think I had cooties and probably wouldn't want anything to do with me. So,
It's like, ooh, a girl.
oh my god,
I don't know. Some of my characters I'd probably like and they'd like me, but I know Frieza doesn't like anyone, so,
Right.
except himself. So Frieza wouldn't like me.
You know, I'd kick it with Boo. Maybe not Mr. Satan, though, right? Like, Mr. Satan, me and Boo are going to go kick it somewhere. You know, we're going to go have some pudding.
I don't think any of my characters hang around with normal people. So I don't. Oh, specifically Tien. Yeah, he's off. He would never. Our paths would never cross. He's always like in the dojo or off in the mountains training somewhere, and it's like we run in different circles. So I would not have to bear his rejection.
I don't think Tien runs.
No, he flies. He flies. Yes.
Well, guys, thank you so much for spending this time with us. Everyone, please, give a big round of applause. Alexis, John, Linda, Chris. Visit them at their tables. I'm sure they have lots more stories.
Yeah, seriously, guys, you have any other questions or anything, come by the table, say hello, got another question, let us know, and we'd be happy to answer. So, thank you all.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
All right, one more round of applause.
This is Brandon McInnes, the voice of Finral in Black Clover, and you're watching Fandom Spotlight. Please subscribe, please. If you don't, I'll be sad, okay? Thanks. Bye.